Hey, it's Glenn from GlennTrains.com and ChurchSecurityTrainer.com. I had one additional thought about this case as I was thinking about it over the last couple of days. And in the last video, I basically talked about the fact that this reserve deputy who was acting as a church security volunteer confronted a man, escorted him out, and went to the parking lot and ended up becoming a shooting where the reserve deputy slash church security volunteer is now being charged with second degree murder, I believe, or manslaughter. I can't remember. But basically, one additional thought that I had on this was realistic training is what I covered, scenario-based training, um, having a plan, following a policy and procedure. But the third thing is if, God forbid, something happens in your church where you have to use any kind of force beyond just your presence and just beyond your verbal de-escalation skills. You don't want to escalate the situation, obviously, but in this situation, I think what happened was after the situation happened, the shots were fired. The initial report given to the police was that the suspect attempted to get the deputy's gun, and the deputy responded by shooting him, which, uh, you know, all things being equal, and if that were really what had happened, then it would be legitimate. If someone's trying to do a weapon strip on a deputy, he has the right to defend himself. But the problem is that there was video evidence of this that came out afterward, which led to him being charged. So the story that he initially gave investigators was different than what the video showed. And I don't know if he didn't know that there was video or if he was excited, which when things happen like this, the first thing you want to do is prove your innocence, especially if you're a decent person trying to do the right thing. So what most likely happened was that he gave a story to the responding officers, to the detective. They found video evidence from either someone on scene or there being some kind of surveillance video. They matched up his story to what the video showed, and essentially it wasn't the same. So it looked like he was trying to either cover up what he did or that he just objectively lied to the officers, and that left them no room to maneuver, really. They have to do their job, so they're charging him, and he was arrested and was arraigned in court for killing this person. Now, the way that you can overcome this, or the way that you can avoid this, is something that I learned. There was a situation in Cincinnati, Ohio, I don't remember, maybe 15 years ago, where the officer, last name was Roach, you can look it up, was involved in a shooting where he chased a person with a suspect to an alley. Some kind of scuffle ensued. He shot the person. It became a racial incident, and then his initial story was different than what ultimately the video showed. That was actually a camera up on a building that was looking down on him, and so the detectives were like, "Well, you lied to us," and he's like, "No, I didn't. This is how I recall it happening." Forest Science Research Institute has come up with a lot of information about what happens during a stressful encounter. One big thing is that because of the time distortion, because there are gaps in our memory, a lot of times we will fill those gaps with what we think happened. This has happened to me through 30 years of law enforcement. There was one specific incident where I could swear that something happened when, in fact, there was really no way it could happen. I believed it happened at the time. I was a two-year officer. I didn't really know what I was doing. I wrote a report, and the supervisor missed it in the report, went on to the media, was released to the media. The chief read it. I was pulled in the office, and he was basically like, "Look, this didn't happen. There's no physical way this could have happened." And at the time, I was like, that's what I recalled. That's what I thought happened. And I learned a very valuable lesson. That is to, after a highly stressful incident, in my case, it was a pursuit. In this deputy's case, or this volunteer's case, it was an actual shooting, probably one of the worst things that can happen to you. The best thing that you can do is to not try to build a coalition, to not try to give all facts that happened in the case immediately after it happened. It is far better for you to separate yourself from the situation, and what I advocate people do, whether it's a CCW person or a police officer or Anybody who's involved in a high stress incident where there's loss of life or somebody is seriously injured and you believe that you are defending yourself, the worst thing you can do is tell the story immediately. You should probably separate yourself by asking for medical care, to get yourself to the hospital so you can be looked at by a doctor, so that you can piece through what occurred. And the truth of the matter is, in a shooting situation like this, you're probably not going to remember everything until you've had some sleep, till you wake up in the morning. Even days or a week down the pike, you might remember little facts that have happened. So what do? If you're involved in a situation, step number one, remove yourself from that situation. Get to the hospital so you can gain peace, equilibrium, so you can think, talk to your spouse, talk to your pastor, whoever you need to talk to. We're not trying to lie, and we're not trying to tell a story differently than what had happened. Obviously, we're going to have to tell exactly what happened. But the key is to understand that when you are excited after a situation like this, things come out of your mouth that you may not intend them to be. You may try to coalition build. You may try to get the deputies on your side, but their job is to get the facts of the case, to put a case together against you or for you, really is typically against you, and then to present those facts to the prosecutor. If there is any hint or detection that you've lied about what's happened, not that you were actually lying, but that like you actually believe that something happened, they're simply going to take that as you're trying to cover up something bad that happened that you did, that you had knowledge and you did it purposefully, that you killed this person on purpose because that's what you set out to do. But in this situation, from what I've read, I don't know I have all the facts of it, but from what I've read, there was a disturbance in the church. He approached the guy. He escorted the guy out to the back. Some kind of altercation ensued. And then the video showed this person running away and the deputy chasing him down and then getting into another confrontation where a shot was fired into his back allegedly. And then now the person is dead. This deputy / security guard told a story right after it happened that did not match up with what actually happened. And now he's looking at some very serious charges against him, and now he has to fight for his freedom. I don't know everything that happened, but what I do know is that oftentimes when we speak, when we have an excited utterance, and we're trying to coalition build, that oftentimes will get us into trouble. So one simple step, just create distance between you and the situation by asking for medical care. They cannot deny you that. Go to the hospital so that you can get your thoughts together before you say anything at all. The other thing is, if you have the ability, chest seals, if you have gauze, if you have tourniquets, if you have that on your body, in your pocket, and you know how to use those, then you can start trying to treat the person that you just shot and or harmed, or if you're cut, you can do self-care. It's really important to know those skills as well. So just a couple of other thoughts that I had about this case. I think it's an unfortunate situation that there was loss of life. I think that it probably didn't have to happen if this person had been trained, if there had maybe been another church security person with him, if they knew proper tactics on how to approach someone, how to escort him out. And really, once he's in the back lot, if there's nobody back there that he can hurt, it's best to get on the phone, call the police, and relieve yourself of that liability as soon as you possibly can. If you have any questions about this, leave a comment. Also, you're welcome to join me over at GlenTrains.com, or you can go to my Church Security Trainer page at churchsecuritytrainer.com, and I'll be leaving videos there and starting to write articles about things that are happening within the community. So thanks for joining me. Any questions, let me know.